Greetings, dear colleagues from Baltimore, from United States. My name is Dr. Ildar Khannanov. I'm an associate professor of music theory at Peabody Institute of Johns Hopkins University. All my life have done some research and I studied um, music theory and philosophy. Started studying philosophy in Moscow at the Institute of Philosophy of Russian Academy of Sciences with Valery Podoroga, and then continued to study philosophy with Jacques Derrida at UC Irvine. So I've been always interested in discussions of social networks. This is a brilliant achievement of modern of our times. Um, and Today I would like to take you a few steps back into the discussions which took place before social networks have seen the light of the day. I think it is important to go back and to reconsider, revise some of the points that were made in philosophy and social sciences in the 20th century. In particular, I think there's a disconnect between the formal communication and interpersonal socialization in modern social networks. Exchange of information carries only partial interaction. The one who posts and the one who reads the posts are not immediately connected. So philosophy and phenomenology in particular offer a number of positions on interpersonal socializations that we cannot just disregard. I have a list of these ideas presented by important figures of the 20th century. For example, there's the question of constitution of the subject in the eye of the other. This was discussed by Husserl, Merleau-Ponty, Heidegger, Martin Buber, by many of these. But what's the point? In social networks, as we discuss them right now, um, of course, we need subjects to participate. And I think unfortunately, we carelessly assume that these subjects exist. That's given. Of course, who can doubt that me is me, I am I. Dr. Khannanov is Dr. Khannanov. But it's not that simple. And by the way, it's not only in philosophy, but in history of the 20th century. The story of wars, gulags, all these things, concentration camps, uh, all these unfortunate events have demonstrated to us that the personality of the subject, subjectivity of the I, is not stable, not ironclad. It depends on situation. And as they say very often in the 20th century, a person would lose identity. The only thing from identity would be left a number tattooed on an arm here. So there's this problem of the subject. And look, we engage in discussions of communication, some kind of communication. Well, it may as well be a communication among computers working autonomously without any participation of a human, a subject. And here again, as a student of Derrida, you can catch me say, oh, what is human? um, but there's a problem of constitution of a subject on which depends our schema, our scheme of communication. So, who is subject? What is subject? Um, how subject can be constituted? What comprises the core of subjectivity of a subject? That's a very interesting thing. Who are we who participate in social networks? What is this name written in some strange letters, often not in original language or something, or anonymous posts? Who is that? Do we know who is this? Who is the one we are communicating with? So, but all these things are non-verbal. There's a great deal of discussion with proverbitum, John Austin's elocutive art theory. There's so many things which were discussed in the 20th century that would try to cover things which are not overtly expressed, not explicit in communication. Heidegger's Dasein, for example, being here, being now here. So it means that in order to communicate, you have to be here. It's also temporal, it's the moment of time, in the flux of time, what I'm quoting Husserl here. So another aspect which is pertinent to communication is the face. You see my face. See, I'm here. You see my face. This is not a minute condition. It's not something that you can disregard. You just put an avatar or some kind of nice background. No, face is this topic exceeds 20th century philosophy. It comes from patristics. It's a problem of Christology. It has been discussed by phenomenologists and by postmodernist philosophers, for example, by Gilles Deleuze, visagete, faciality. What is the face? So, to make a long story short, all these philosophers probably would agree if I say that the subject appears only in the eyes of the other. So only when you look into my eyes, you obtain subjectivity. You need me staring at you. You need me be looking at you in a dialogue, in a conversation, in actual interpersonal socialization. In order to establish your subjectivity, you can't establish it in void. That's very important. And here I would like to refer to the writings of Father Pavel Florensky, the Russian theologian. By the way, he was killed in repressions. When I say Russian, it doesn't mean Soviet or Bolshevik. He was a philosopher. He was a religious leader in a sense. And he wrote a book which is called The Watersheds of Thought, The Elements of Concrete Metaphysics. It's published in 1908. So among other things, he discusses the icon, because especially for Orthodox Christian Church, the icon is a very important part of worship, very important part of belief. So what is an icon? And Florensky divides all depictions of humans into three kinds, with three levels. Using contemporary language, you can say three levels of faciality. So it's a mask. In Russian, it's lichina. It's something evil, something that hides something that hides something which is empty inside. So it's lichina, a mask, a person, real human face, and the icon. So Florensky suggests that the stage, the middle stage is metastable. It's flexible, but the icon is eternal. So in a sense, we are wearing this interface in the image of God's face. But it can be contaminated, can be obstructed by the mask. And the mask, there's an equivalent of mask which is simulacrum. It's theological category of patristic era, from patristic era. Yeah. So it's a sign that completely covers the signifier, that completely covers the signified. So you'll never see what it actually refers to. So considering all these things, I can unfortunately I can state that Facebook, Instagram, all these social networks lead us away from these important, urgent issues. It's counterproductive to engage in social network in search for communication. Now, next question: do we really need that? Maybe it's that old-fashioned. I don't think that interpersonal communication, and think about this: communication, communal, communion. When we are in live dialogue with each other, we participate. It's very similar to communion in church. We take part. So when I post something on Facebook, I don't feel like this is happening. But again, is it important? Do we need that? Yes, it is therapeutic, because without constitution of the subject, Husserl uses this word constitution as a noun and as a verb. Without constituting the subject, nothing can happen, and nothing matters, really. If you are not here, what difference does it make? So, and I just wanted to quote few things from Martin Buber, early writing. He's not Derrida. He belongs to a different era, but his thought is very, very, very poignant and profound. So he's just that. Oh, I'm sorry. He uses this very old-fashioned terminology. Like a man. What is man? Um, to a human, the world is twofold, in accordance with humans' twofold attitude. And one primary word in this regard is the combination I and thou, ich und du. Primary words do not signify things, but they imitate relations. Well, there's long things. I don't want to quote everything. So Martin Buber divides our relationship with things, res, from our relationship with you. He uses this pronoun, I and you. He focuses on this, and he suggests that it is very important. Um, well, it's a long story to quote Martin Buber, but he suggests that I and you is a very different situation in regard to I and it, I and him, I and her, I and them. I, you is different, and that but that plays constitutive role. He suggests that too. So this is just a short introduction to probably a longer discussion. I don't want to dismiss the technological innovation, but we are missing something. In my native language, in Russian, there is a great difference between communication, and общение. Well, it's very difficult to translate what is общение. Well, communization, communalization, participation. So these are very important. I have published a short article in Russian, and it's become quite popular on the internet. That's why I dare to present these things to you in English. Um, Probably I should have been doing this in French. But anyways, I would be very happy to receive your questions and maybe get engaged in some kind of dialogue again. So this is important. This is important. Technological advancements must help us, but they can be also very destructive. And in this situation, when we're not talking about taking wrong vitamins or applying wrong medicine or doing wrong things, which can be repaired somehow, we are touching the core of humanity of us, something, the core element. If it is messed up, then there will be no future. Simple like that. Simple like that. So I wish my teacher Jacques Derrida was alive and he would participate in this discussion. So with all that, I just would like to close up, and I'm ready for your questions. Uh, I think the organizers will provide my contact information, but you can find me on online on internet. I'm all over the place. I gladly respond to. Uh, I can give you my email address. Thank you so much.